This is the big one. Gossip is by far the most prevalent workplace bullying technique and one of the most damaging. So what is gossip? There is a broad definition of gossip, and that is simply talking about people who are not present. If that's the definition of gossip, then every human being throughout history, since the beginning of civilization, has gossiped. If you like to read celebrity news or about politicians' sex scandals, then you too are guilty of gossip. And it can be argued that politics is nothing more than glorified gossip. I read celebrity news every day, and while I am not proud of that vice, I like to read about celebrities so I can go look up their astrological charts, because it's interesting to me. And science has shown that gossip has actually had a positive influence on humanity. It provides useful and necessary information in an interdependent society in which it is important to know about other people. Gossip is a form of knowledge sharing. However, in the workplace, there is absolutely nothing benign about gossip. It is wholly malicious, and sometimes it is even planned and strategic. It is very much part of the war phase of the elimination phase of workplace bullying, and the ultimate intent is to get rid of the target by getting her fired. Gossip in the workplace is meant to be hurtful, and it is. If gossip is talking about people who are not present, how do you know people are gossiping about you? Please. It's so obvious even Stevie Wonder could see it, and it don't take Miss Cleo with a crystal ball to figure that out. You know people are gossiping about you because they let you know in many different ways. It could be the minute you enter a room, everything falls silent and comes to a screeching halt. There's a long, protracted, awkward silence, and it's like a scene out of a comedy. Everyone shifts uncomfortably in their seats, clears their throats, stares at their phones, and scrambles to find a subject change, because all of the conversation up until that point has been about you. It can also be the minute you exit a room. For example, you were just quickly dropping off some documents, and the minute you round the corner, you hear again the awkward silence and an eruption and explosion of giggling and hushed whispering, and can even see people mouth things around corners and overhear snippets of the gossip. Some workplace bullies are so lazy and sloppy they don't even bother to conceal that they are gossiping about you right in front of you. Introducing another workplace bullying technique, the technique of muttering under the breath, which is a type of insult. Some workplace bullies gossip about you electronically and set up email chains among colleagues about the target, and even gossip online in chat rooms and on social media. When workplace bullies gossip about you and you are not present in the workplace at all, again, you still know because they let you know. The subject of the gossip appears in invasive, violating questions that workplace bullies attack you with the minute you enter the workplace after a 45-minute hectic and harrying commute to work on the freeway, and also in passive aggressive insults directed at you. Some workplace bullies take the gossip outside of the workplace and gossip about you with friends and family members, and then even invite those people to the workplace to come check you out. So what's all the gossip about in the workplace? Well, it depends on the audience. When workplace bullies gossip among colleagues, this is workplace bullying we are talking about here, so it's about as primitive as it can get. It is not possible to underestimate workplace bullies on any level. These are people who live 100% in the matrix, trapped in this 3D, earthly, mundane, physical, material reality where they experience life exclusively through the immediate five senses and are not capable of imagination, fantasy, or even abstract thought. These people are 100% literal minded, so the gossip is all about your body, what you look like, what you smell like, and what you're wearing. And when the gossip is about a woman among all male colleagues, of course it's about her sex life, who she's fucking, or more importantly, who's fucking her. It is similar to the workplace bullying technique of objectification. Workplace bullies, of course, are entitled to objectify you because they themselves are physically perfect and all look exactly like Victoria's Secret fashion models. Workplace bullies do not respect the sanctity of the human body or a woman's right to absolute dominion over her own body because they don't have any boundaries. And they don't have any boundaries because they are narcissists, and narcissists have no boundaries. Workplace bullies have no physical or even sexual boundaries because their physical and even sexual boundaries were violated when they were children. Alternatively, workplace bullies gossip about any information that you voluntarily disclose or share in the workplace, especially any information about your body. Very common advice for targets of workplace bullying is not to share any personal information. So when it comes to workplace bullying, you have been read your Miranda rights. Anything you say can and will be used against you. If you do share personal information in the workplace, it's like somebody left a pizza box open on the pavement for a flock of ravenous vultures to descend in a furious feeding frenzy, and no information is too trivial or too petty. I have shared in previous videos that I have been ridiculed for stating that I was simply hungry or that I had had an eating disorder, and I have been publicly body shamed for being sick with the common cold, all while countless clients and colleagues were sick with exactly the same symptoms at exactly the same time. If you came to me and said that you were hungry, I would offer you something to eat and then not bother to care whether or not my offer was accepted. Because when it comes to other people, I am here to assist or get out of the way. Then I would not bother to retain that information in my brain because I can't have anything that's superficial in my brain because I actually have a brain. I once had a colleague who admitted to me that she was not feeling well and was concerned that she was coming down with something. I happened to have zinc tablets in my car at the time, so I went to my car, got the tablets, and offered her some. I don't remember whether or not they helped her. I did not, however, publicly body shame her for not feeling well because I'm not a piece of shit. When the audience includes bosses, managers, higher-ups, well, workplace bullies can't very well get away with trash talking your hair or the size of your ass. So the gossip does turn to your work, and this becomes part of the narcissistic smear campaign. Narcissists smear, that's what they do. In personal romantic relationships, the worst smearing happens after the breakup, for which the narcissist is usually responsible because narcissists cannot handle rejection and always have to have the last word, but need to smear you anyway to make the breakup look like your fault by, for example, spreading rumors that you were the one who cheated when it was the other way around. In the workplace, the worst smearing happens before the target has been separated from work, but the intent is to eliminate the target from the workplace to get her fired. Workplace bullies gossip for different reasons. It is a form of venting. This is how they relieve some of the anxiety they feel about the target. Science has shown that gossip actually lowers the heart rate. Science has also shown that bullies come from anxiety-inducing homes. The anxiety that workplace bullies feel in the presence of the target is palpable. It's tangible. You can sense it the minute you enter a room. Workplace bullies appear so overcome and overwhelmed with anxiety that they cannot tolerate the presence of the target for seconds without immediately launching into at least one workplace bullying technique: harassment, ridicule, insults, or gossip. And when they collectively vent this anxiety and stir each other up in the form of gossip, it is a sort of mass hysteria. In other words, to borrow a line from my girl Tay T-Swizzle, they need to calm down. Workplace bullies really need to just go home, draw a nice hot bubble bath, pour a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, cook up a nice pasta dish, put on some Mariah Carey because nobody messes with my Mimi. I'm a lamb. I am a member of the Lamb and just relax. When it comes to workplace bullies, it's like, why don't you relax? Gossip in the workplace is a form of bonding. It's like a kind of trauma bonding. It is commiseration, and that is how relationships are formed in a toxic, maladaptive, dysfunctional workplace environment. Workplace bullies as narcissists, which are essentially dead, empty souls, cannot connect with other human beings on the level of heart, soul, or spirit. Narcissists connect one of only two ways, sexually or through hatred. And the gossip unites workplace bullies in mutual negativity. Although workplace bullies cannot connect with others in meaningful or positive ways, you can still observe in them this pitiable, pitiful, pathetic, childish need for inclusion and fear of ostracism and rejection. And the gossip makes the workplace bullies feel as though they are one of the cool kids. And the hatred, like the anxiety that they feel, is not something that they can tolerate alone, because narcissists cannot self-regulate. The Workplace Bullying Institute has stated that mobbing is a term that just needs to be retired because all workplace bullying is mobbing. Workplace bullies never act alone because they can't. They are too weak. Evil needs allies, but goodness can stand alone. If you happen to know someone that you know is a good person, that person is also probably truly, truly unique. When it comes to the trauma bonding of workplace bullying gossip, it is a case of strange bedfellows. These people who have absolutely nothing in common and otherwise would not give each other the time of day are suddenly bonded in mutual hatred and negativity. You are providing a service by bringing together people who otherwise would not have anything to do with each other. If you are an employer and you experience a line of people who are suddenly best friends, where before they had nothing to do with each other, all complaining about one person who is someone that you know is a good employee, also a likable person, and probably also physically attractive, that is exactly what the narcissistic smear campaign looks like. Although the gossips in the workplace appear to have nothing in common, I argue that there is no such thing as types of workplace bullies because there is only one workplace bully. Yes, the age, gender, race, etc. may be different, but it is effectively the same person, and that is a low-level spirit. A low-level spirit is someone who sees form and surface and differences. If you are a survivor of any type of narcissistic abuse, you may have complained that you wish narcissists would all just kind of stick together and leave the rest of us alone. It's like shitty people of the world unite. Although these people appear to have nothing in common, they are actually perfect for each other. So they can go out together, sit in the corner of the restaurant, survey the restaurant, and pick women off like snipers. Gossip in the workplace is important because it introduces the third party to the unholy trinity of the workplace bullying trifecta. In addition to the bully and the target, there is what is called the bystander to workplace bullying. You know that guy, the one who sits passively and quietly with his head down in the corner in the midst of the bitch fest and pretends to stare at a computer screen or at his phone, perhaps all while simultaneously licking chicken fat off of his fingers in that way that narcissistic men do in the workplace, as though he were a fly on the wall. Oh, don't mind me. And though he may never participate directly in the gossip, he sure loves to listen to it. Bystanders to workplace bullying love to listen to gossip because they're just so glad it's not about them. Bystanders to workplace bullying are the lowliest of cowards. It is a kind of bystander apathy. Though they may never participate directly in the gossip, what they will also never do is intervene to defend the target, because they know if they do, they will be next. And psychological studies have shown that people who stand up to bullies are then bullied by the bullies in turn. Don't get me wrong, if the organization is large enough, because of statistics, there can be that lone wolf, that one voice of reason, that one person with enough integrity to stand up to the bullies with, hey, y'all need to quit it. She's doing the best that she can. We can see this too online. If, like me, again, you like to read about politicians and or celebrities, you too may be appalled by the hatred and vitriol that appears in the comments, as though having money ruled out a person's right to have feelings, which can explain how someone like Donald Trump can be elected to public office. But there too are the few select lone voices of reason who step in and intervene to remind us that public figures are human beings too. Bystanders to workplace bullying are important because it is from among the bystanders that the workplace bullies recruit their little minions, otherwise known as flying monkeys, for abuse by proxy. Flying monkeys is a narcissistic abuse term that comes from the Wizard of Oz, and the flying monkeys are the people that the narcissist sicks on you for additional abuse. Again, evil cannot stand or act alone, and evil needs allies. Workplace bullies never act alone because they can't go it alone. On a subconscious level, workplace bullies know what they are doing is wrong, and they seek out support from others as a kind of cognitive dissonance to make themselves feel better. Part of the intent of all abuse is to isolate the target, to strip and deprive the target of support and connections, to weaken the target and make the target more vulnerable and susceptible to the abuse. In personal and romantic relationships, narcissists love to turn people against you. Authority figures, business, contacts and connections, friends, and even family members, and yes, even your own children. And it is a horrifying betrayal. In the workplace, you know that the workplace bullies have recruited flying monkeys because all of a sudden, this person who never had any problem with you at all whatsoever is now coming at you with one workplace bullying technique or the other. Perhaps it's a false accusation of tardiness, or perhaps it's just nose holding. Whatever it is, it comes out of the blue. And they were put up to that. The workplace bully has used gossip to coerce the flying monkey, either passively or sometimes through the use of overt threat. Perhaps the flying monkey has been threatened with exposure for his own wrongdoing, such as an extramarital affair or stealing money from the company. But flying monkeys, like workplace bullies themselves, are susceptible to being coerced because they are intellectually and above all morally weak, lazy, and stupid. Gossip in the workplace is in and of itself a form of cognitive dissonance, or maybe it's just schizophrenic because it's so contradictory on so many levels. Although workplace bullying has nothing to do with the work, when workplace bullies are trying to eliminate the target, they have to make it sound as though it is about the work. And one of the unfair criticisms, false accusations that workplace bullies love to make about the target is not that the target is not working, but that the bullies are working harder than the target. Workplace bullies as narcissists whip out that sob story to elicit sympathy, to make people feel sorry for them so they can get away with their appalling behavior, and run around the workplace all day long complaining in a sort of histrionic melodrama about how hard they are working. Specifically that they are working harder than the target. Well, everybody's working hard, but most people have the grace, class, and elegance not to complain about it, but just to do it. Workplace bullies have to let everybody know how hard they are working. And yet, despite being so busy and so swamped, somehow workplace bullies find time to carve literal hours out of every day to engage in mean-spirited, malicious gossip, often on company time and on company pay. Additionally, gossip is ironic because, like narcissist workplace bullies love to accuse targets and victims of being quote-unquote negative because you are having a perfectly normal, natural human response to being abused. You happen to kind of sort of not like it, but that makes you negative. Although I seriously doubt there is anything about workplace bullying gossip that is positive. Like harassment, gossip in the workplace is both attention-seeking and attention-deflecting. Workplace bullies are trying to distract from their own flaws by focusing instead on yours. They sort of pump themselves up and inflate their own egos. Workplace bullies are trying to make themselves look good by putting you down, but it doesn't work. To most people who witness workplace bullying gossip, it only exposes how ugly these people really are. Gossip is deeply hurtful because it triggers our fears of persecution, which are ingrained in the human psyche and the collective unconscious because of countless years of human history of violence and injustice. But more than hurtful, I find gossip shocking, sad, and disturbing because it's such a waste of time. There are so many other things to do. I've walked in on workplace bullies who I know gossiped about me for as long as 4 hours in the middle of a beautiful, bright, brilliant, gorgeous spring afternoon when they could have spent that time engaging in one of what I consider the 3 components of spirituality: creativity, service to others, and spending time in nature. I live in a major metropolitan area where there is no shortage of activities, many of which are outdoors and many of which cost nothing. Instead of talking about me, workplace bullies can go down the street and volunteer for an NGO or a charity that betters their communities and makes them feel better about themselves in the process. Or they can spend the time creating something, their own business, for example. Get your side hustle on. At the time that I am filming this video, the coronavirus has sickened millions. It has killed over 250,000 people and resulted in the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. There are about 26 million refugees in the world. Half of those are children. There are about 70 million displaced people in the world. In my country, in almost 100 years, we still have not managed to pass an equal rights amendment for women. And every day, at least 4 women are murdered at the hands of men they know. But who cares? Forget about that. Let's go into the workplace and talk trash and try to destroy an innocent coworker because she gets more attention than we do. Sounds to me like workplace bullies need priorities. Or maybe they just need a hobby like badminton or needlepoint. If anything, gossip underscores what I call narcissistic emptiness. If you've ever had a narcissist in your life, it's like, you know what, I don't even like you. You're nasty, you're mean-spirited, you're rude as fuck, and your worst crime of all is that you're boring. If workplace bullies are gossiping about you, ask yourself and come back and tell me, what else do these people have to talk about? Eleanor Roosevelt said, "Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people." Which one do you want to be? Leave your comment in the comments section below if you've ever found anything to talk about in your life besides women's bodies. So that's an introduction to the workplace bullying technique of gossip. To read more in detail, I've written an essay on workplace bullying. It's on my website. I include that information in the description. The reason that I create this video series is to establish a forum where targets of workplace bullying can share their experiences and stories in a kind of support group. So you can know, number one, you're not crazy. Workplace bullying is real and your feelings are perfectly valid and justified. And number two, you're not alone. Unfortunately, countless others have experienced the same thing. So I look forward to reading your comments and I promise to try to respond to each one. Take care.